Hello everyone, it's Clay Ramage. Welcome to my channel, and thank you for your support and watching my videos. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're actually going to be cleaning an upholstered chair. I'll show you some techniques on how to clean it. I was an upholsterer for 15 years. I had a business, actually been doing upholstery a lot longer than that, but I had a business of furniture repair and upholstery work for 15 years that I did on a part-time basis. And so here's just some ideas and some tips of how to try to rescue your chairs if they have a few condition issues, but nothing structural. Again, these are all techniques that you can use at home without having to go buy any special equipment or even special products necessarily. But just ways of trying to make it more useful and extend the life of your furniture just a little longer. So hope you enjoy. Okay, here's the chair in question. As you can see, it is an Egyptian revival style chair. It's probably about 30 years old. It's probably, 1980s to 90s when it was built by the Century Chair Company out of Asheville, North Carolina. Very high quality chair, high quality manufacturer. So we know it's a good chair to try to save. As you can tell, there's a big stain in the seat along here and along there. It looks like there was either a tray or a book or something kind of rectangular there that it spilled over. And since I didn't know initially what kind of stain it was, I didn't know how easy it would come out or not. Still don't know at this point, but we'll check it out. But when I picked the chair up and took it out of the estate sale where I bought it for $5, by the way, I noticed on the bottom that there are noodles and things like that stuck to the bottom. So that tells us that this is probably a soup of some kind that was spilled. And there's the label for the Century Chair Company. It's Hickory, North Carolina. Sorry, I said Asheville. But anyway, so now we know it's a soup. We're going to see if we can get this cleaned up and looking a lot better. So let's go. Okay, here's the chair. Here's what we're going to do. First off, I'm going to wear a mask for the dust just because I don't know, what particles will be flying around. Because our first attempt, we're going to brush off any dry particles before we do any liquid stuff. We want to get all the larger debris off of the fabric. And so let's get started. Okay, there we are now. We have the the larger particles all brushed off. As you can tell, there's some dust on there. So we're going to take and clean that off. And you can tell there's some other condition issues like this front welting. The material has completely deteriorated off of that. And I'll show you how we're going to address that without tearing the whole thing apart. There is also a small tear in the fabric right here. So we'll address that small tear as well. And so let's get to cleaning this off. Now what I'm using, this is just this is from the Melaleuca company. There's no endorsement or anything. It's just what I have. It's a botanical concentrate. It's actually a disinfectant. So It's not a cleaning agent, it's a disinfectant. So I'll spray it on my rag first, get it kind of damp, and then just wipe it over the surface. Now you can see already there's a big difference in the fabric and how it cleaned, but you'll notice the coloring of the fabric is coming out. So this is why it's important to do this in stages and to wipe the entire surface. If you try to do just spot clean, you can get a discoloration in just one area of the fabric. So it's important that, you know, as you clean, you get the whole fabric wet with whatever cleaning solution you're using. Now I think I'm going to get some scissors and cut these strings off so they stay out of my way. And I don't know if you noticed also, if you could see on the camera, but were small pet hairs on here. I don't know if it's a dog or a cat, but they were scattered all over here too. So that initial brushing that we did helped take a lot of those off. So let's let that dry. Let's see how much of the stain remains and move on to the next step. Okay, we're back again. Now that that's pretty much dried, I'm going to do the next step. Again, this is another product that I already have. It's a very mild cleaner. You want to go from the mildest cleaner to start with to a more aggressive later if the mild stuff doesn't work. So we're going to try this mild stuff. Again, I'm not going to spray directly on the fabric. I'm going to spray on my rag and then transfer it to the fabric. This way it keeps it from water spotting, you know, or leaving stains in case there's something that reacts with the fabric. And technically you should color fast do a testing on an inconspicuous area with any cleaning products to make sure that it doesn't affect anything. Now in this particular case, I was not worried because if I couldn't get the stain out, or if it affected the fabric, I would just reupholster the whole seat rather than trying to save it. But if you're trying to save it, and the very worst extreme is to have it recovered, then the best thing is to, you know, test it for color fast. Anyway, long story short, let's give it a try here and see what this cleaner does. And again, I'm covering the whole seat, getting it all wet all the way across. I'm just lightly brushing. I'm not going hard at all, pressing against it. And then overlapping if I need to on where the dampness is. Again, to prevent any lines from forming from my brushing back and forth or anything like that. And I always go to a new place on my rag that I haven't used yet, starting in an area where I've already brushed. Brush to another area. And then if there's small spots that still remain, like there's one back here, I'll just take a finger and lightly rub it. In that case, I use my fingernail because it was actually a solid piece of something still attached. And as this dries, I can see that there's still a couple spots in different areas, and while it's still fairly damp, I want to try to work those spots out if I can. Again, just rubbing. In this particular case, the grain of the fabric goes this way. Grain's not the proper term, but you know, it's the weave of the fabric is going back and forth this way. That's why I'm moving this way. The pattern tends to go this way, and you can go with the pattern. Again, so if there's any marks that end up remaining, you minimize the visual effect of seeing them when you're going with the pattern. Okay, now overall that looks pretty good on this round. There is some more along this edge that I will clean a little deeper. There we go. Now, as you can see, as it's drying, there's still, you know, occasional spots that are left. So we just continue this process of spraying a little cleaner and cleaning. I'll also clean this front part, even though it wasn't affected by the spill, just because you can tell it's kind of dusty. Oops. Okay, here's the chair, and you can see from this angle there's still this spot, and I kind of scrubbed this spot, and I think what happened was, because I scrubbed it harder, I rubbed the dye off of the fabric. So that's kind of going to be a permanent thing, and you can still see the image of where the stain was. So ultimately, to make it look perfect, you would need to, you know, like re-dye the whole seat or recover the whole thing. But my main purpose in this video, especially with black is extremely difficult to get perfect. But most any other fabric, if it has any kind of a design or print on it, you know, these would be mute issues. But with this, it's kind of what you get when you're dealing with black. Now you notice on the front, the welting here, somebody actually took probably a black marker and colored the welting middle, the cord that's wrapped around the inside the fabric, and they colored it black to make it less obvious that the fabric had worn away. And you can see in these two spots that those are new areas where the fabric has worn away. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a new piece of fabric across the top of that without tearing the chair apart. So let's get started.